If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Toews. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover.
Thank you.
All right, that's really cool. Okay, tonight, how many times do you use the word frequency? And how many times do we use the vibrations like vibes and all that kind of stuff? I really felt that, and it's sort of coming out of an experience that I had, but because frequency is becoming a more and more interesting topic of conversation, actually, and people are running to technology that is being monetized, thinking that wellness is found in frequency machines and these different things. And by the way, there is a measure of success, and that this is not wrong. I'm not coming against that as well at all. We're becoming more and more aware that the space between science and spirituality is closing, and what we're learning is we live in a participatory, we participate with the universe, with divine intelligence, and we participate with the ruling force of that universe, which is our creator, our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We understand that this frequency is not just within us, but as we understand the kingdom of heaven is, but that the kingdom is all around us, and this is held up in every heartbeat. We do heart-brain coherence. Have we ever had a meeting that I haven't sort of slipped in heart-brain coherence? And we have amazing results from modality of prayer, meditation, intention. And we are understanding ourselves, better learning that we are supernatural beings made in the image of God, and we are unlimited. We are who Moses said, I am that I am. We are the I am in the midst of life on this earth. And because the great I am, Yahweh, has ordained it to be, we are the most powerful and most important organism ever. And how about this? We are the most powerful frequency this planet has. We, you and me, we carry the most powerful frequency. And as I dig deeper and learn and explore this, and we've also brought it into the quantum field, meaning that we live, move, and have our being in Christ and Christ consciousness, and that the field has effects on our being that cannot be measured by our 3D awareness, just looking around the room here. It's something that's so small the human eye isn't able to see. So nothing new here so far, right? So why is getting a handle on frequency important? Well, a couple of nights, this seems to be happening to me, these crazy things. I wake up with downloads, or I wake up in a situation, and it's really quite fun. It's not nerve-wracking or anything, or interrupting. It's just happens. I was having a peaceful, great day. I had gone for an hour and a half walk in a beautiful wonderland with Bob and his dog, and went to bed feeling really good, but I couldn't get to sleep. You know those nights? And I tuned into heart-brain coherence. I did all the stuff, make whatever the list is, but there I am, awake. And so I decided to get up, get my phone and fat earphone. These are my fat earphones. They go like this, and they tune out all noise around me. And they're very comfortable because I can actually lie on my side if I have them on. And I chose a favorite motivational speaker, somebody who was just like calm and inspiring. I'd heard this person before, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go into something familiar that I know is very peaceful, and I need to listen. It was a 3.5-hour session. I thought, well, this is ridiculous, but what's going to happen is I'm going to just listen for a while and just, get into I was going to say the zen of it all, which is what I was going to do. And then I'll just shut it off. But what happened was I put it on and I fell asleep right into this dreamless sleep. And I woke up disoriented a couple of hours later. It's no big deal. But in that time, I had the most amazing object lesson. Because when those things happen, sometimes I just start talking with Father, and because he's been just sovereignly doing these small events that are a little uncommon for me, like the time where I was in this meditation and I moved out of my body and turned and looked and started communicating with my body. Now, since that, I have a whole new relationship with my body, and it's answered so many questions. And I'm going to end up sharing it at some point. This experience did the same thing. But what I realized is I was having an object lesson in frequency. Because frequency is the movement of something. Frequency is like a wave that repeats itself and passes by a certain point, a central point, not a certain, well, a certain central point. And our brain waves have frequencies, right? We've known that. So what was happening was, and this is what the Lord started showing me. He said, my brain, because we've studied brain waves, and I'm not going to go through all that. I'll just use the names. I was in a beta state, which means I was awake, I was alert, conscious, thinking, and I was purposefully setting my heart to this program. And what happened very quickly was I became physically and mentally relaxed. It felt like old home week. It was relaxing. And all of a sudden, and that's our alpha state, our brainwave, that's the frequency that we're in. And then what happens is I went into the theta, which is a deeper meditation, relaxed consciousness, and then into delta, which is the deep, dreamless sleep, and where you lose your bodily awareness, but it's also a prepare time. We've learned all that. So I went, okay, this was really cool, because I went through this and I could box in all these states that I've just experienced, and the frequency changed from a high awareness state to sleep induced, and then out of it so clearly began this conversation. And our personal frequencies have a powerful effect on our lives in everything we think, everything we act on, everything we feel and speak, in all of our senses. So when I went through all that, I said, Lord, would you just help me to broaden this understanding and make it practical? Because I want to live in the frequency that we've talked about before, because they're a frequency where you go into miracles, you go into supernatural experiences, and so I want to know how to do that. But Lord, please make it practical and simple. And so he said, you can let life rule you, or you can live your life on purpose and rule and reign and co-create with me. Now, you may have seen the tagline, right, for the River 474, live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. Well, so he just started talking about when we're living purposefully, not randomly, we partner with divine consciousness and Christ consciousness, which also we call Christ consciousness, and we become entangled in a frequency that creates our lives. because there's so much around us that's vying for attention, right? Buy crystals, hold these crystal rods, drink this, it'll change everything. Sit in this atmosphere or in this bath, or sounds, music, everything. And I've experienced some of that, and they have had minimal or temporary effect. And I'm looking for lifelong change, the kind that affects my choices. And because I know my choices will keep me in the game when the lights go out. Do you understand what I'm saying? If we continually go and look for power for our being somewhere else, we'll miss the very amazing power, technology that's within us. And we've been made this way. And so I want my choices to keep me in the game. If I can stay focused on what we're understanding of who we are in Him, then not only will it affect my choices, I can help someone else. I want to be that help. I want to be that inspiration. Yeah, it's really funny. Wayne Dyer, and now that we've found this guy, he was talking about the external forces of things like crystals and that. He said, if someone told him that a certain crystal would cure hemorrhoids, he'd have a crystal chair made and sit on it, and it would work. And he said, you know why? Because of the placebo effect. And I went, okay. There's a measure of truth, however, in all of it, but we are frequency transducers like crystals that we may put our focus on. We are Yod He Vav He, and if there's a frequency to focus on, it's right there. I don't know, you may know Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I love reading his work because I don't know a lot about frequency to the levels that he unpacks in color and in sound and in music, but I find him easy to follow, and I'm encouraged by the science that is developing from using frequency. I could spend a lot of time exploring his studies, but he teaches how the electromagnetic center of sound color spectrums is the frequency of 528 hertz, and he calls that the love frequency. I'll bet you all know that, right? That particular hertz is 528 is called the love frequency. Now, every frequency sends out information into the field of consciousness that we call divine consciousness, and what we're learning about, especially if you enjoy math or music, it has a wonderful science behind it. So science shows us that frequency and the sounds that resonate are very significant, and they've proven it. An illustration is take two guitar strings, tune them to the same frequency. Everyone knows a guitar, boom, boom, boom. Take that string, put another identical guitar on the other side of the room, 25, 30 feet away. Play that one, tune both of them, to the same frequency. Tune their frequency. Let's tune it to the love. Let's tune it to 528. And then separate the guitars. So you've got identical guitars, identical strings, but now you're going to play the one, just the one, and you're going to strum that string. And what it does is it brings that frequency, that vibration into the room. And as you play it, that's what happens. This frequency goes out. Now, when you stop playing, if you put a microphone to the other string that no one's plucked, the resonance of the vibration and the frequency is played that you can hear it in the other string. That's how powerful frequency and resonancy is. it can be done with various instruments, right? You can have a triangle, boom, tingle that one, and the same triangle will make the sound across the room. I like the using tuning forks, because you can tune the fork to a certain note, and actually they use that when they are tuning orchestras to that singular note, and the same principle happens. You have one tuning fork here, another one across the room. I tuned identically to the exact same frequency. You hit one, stop hitting it, and the frequency and resonance causes the other one to bring the same sound. Now, okay, so I hope that's fairly clear. One of the greatest conductors of frequency is water, and water is a superconductor, an energy amplifier. We human beings are somewhere between 75 and 90% water. Every time I look it up, it's a different number. What does that make us? That makes us walking transducers of frequency and energy. Actually, our bodies, our DNA operates in 369 hertz, and I'm not going to go in there, but which is like an antenna. Our DNA is like a sacred spiral to our creator, to the divine intelligence, to that field and what we are. We transmit via our DNA, we transduce our frequency into the universe, into the field, into Christ consciousness, the mind of God. And what we sow, we'll reap. That principle is just as strong in sending out our vibrations as anything else that we might sow a plant or sow into a life. We reap what we sow. It works both for positive and negative energy. So we're just staying positive. That's it. That's all the end. Do you know that our Heavenly Father constantly sings over us? And if we're not in sync with the song, we have situation with that song, we actually can change so that we can line up with the frequency. So what does he sing? What's the message? What's the frequency? And I know we all know the answer, because God is love. And love is the highest frequency, and we are created in that image. So like tuning forks, when you change the frequency, you change the situation. We're created with free will. No other species is. All others, animal, vegetable, mineral, they grow in the pattern that they were created unless there's interference or trauma. But we, by our will and purpose, can change our frequency and align with the frequency of divine consciousness with love to that 528. Many of you have heard, because we taught this a couple of years ago already, as an illustration. Remember the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico? It was in 2010. There's a man by the name of John Hutchinson. I'm just going to read here. He's an electromagnetic energy expert from Canada, along with his research partner, his wife Nancy. They used the 528 hertz frequency and other solfeggio tones to reduce oil and grease in the polluted water and help to purify poisoned water following the British petroleum oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. The polluted water area was treated with said frequency for 4 hours, and in the next morning, the water was cleared. Before the frequency treatment, the oil and grease was 7 parts per million. After the exposure test, the same measured less than 1 part per million. The results were also certified by Dr. Robert Naiman, an analytical chemist with 30 years experience and president of the Analytical Chemical Testing Laboratory in Alabama. In just 24 hours, John and Nancy, by using sound and radio frequencies, almost eliminated the oil and toxins in the water and had no side effects. Now, according to Dr. Horowitz, he said, Hutchinson's study results are most promising as they were certified by the Analytical Chemical Testing Laboratory, Inc. of Mobile, Alabama, and are consistent with studies and predictions based on the most advanced discoveries in mathematics, physics, and biophysics. So energy is important. Frequency is important. Resonance is important. And they have a measurable effect on matter. The entire universe is made up of energy, and we are electromagnetic beings full of energy, and we are uniquely created by God to see, hear, touch, smell, and taste. We also have extra perceptive senses that only humans can perceive. Our potential is so high, and our frequencies can change life from good to evil or evil to good, and setting our lives on the purpose, or setting our thinking and doing in the direction of divine life, brings what we desire. The field around us, from our toes to the cosmos, is a divine consciousness and continues to create from the place it exists, where nothing is broken, nothing's missing. The higher we can raise our frequency, the higher our potential for living a life of miracles. It's our resonance that makes the difference. We are resonating to the song of the Father or the song of the world. One is absolute light and one is darkness. You are a receiver of energy and a giver of energy. So think of resonance for a minute. You are the ultimate tuning fork. You tune yourself to a frequency that transmits an energy of information. You are a transducer, a device that converts energy from one form to another. You know how transducers work? Well, they're like your microphone. Microphone takes a quiet voice and sound and magnifies it, right? Well, that's us. We transduce what's in us, whether we know it or not. And it's good if we create good, if we create that frequency of love. Remember the Medicineless Hospital video that we watched? That was Greg Braden. For those of you, you can, if you haven't seen it, it's Greg Braden's Medicineless Hospital on YouTube. And what it does is it shows this woman with a 3-centimeter cancer growth on her bladder. They put up separate screens so that it can be recorded and watched as these people were releasing the energy, releasing the frequency over her with her full consent and understanding actually what was going on. You could see the 3-centimeter growth on her bladder, and we watched in real time as these practitioners that understood the power of frequency released a sound over her that within 3 minutes destroyed the tumor, and we could see it on the screen. The woman set her being in agreement with this treatment and the reality, and seeing the tumor destroyed and non-existent was transduced. We saw the tumor destroyed, and she was completely healed. It wasn't a medicine. It wasn't a machine that destroyed the humor. It was a sound. I said humor again, the tumor. It was a sound, and by thought intent spoken by human beings from the technology that's within every human heart and being, that frequency healed. We are transmitters of energy. Our thoughts, emotions, and actions release into the cosmos all the time. I'm just feeling the weight of it at times these days of being aware, not condemned, because I make tons of mistakes. Just know I'm often, front of the line for missing it. But I'm telling you, just the awareness of wanting to change so that I can, whatever I am sending out, actually whatever I'm sending out, I'm believing to receive. So I want to send out that frequency of love. You know, we have the saying, I really feel the vibe from that, right? Music in particular. But other times we have this vibe that, you know, really feel that vibe from the person. You're at a party or a situation and those vibes weren't good and nothing needed to be said. It was just coming from the heart of those around us or from the sound. When Ed and I are traveling by car and have the radio on, we always recognize the closer we are to a station, a town, the clearer it is. And then, of course, you move away from it, you start getting the static. Well, that's how it is with us too. And every one of us has a certain kind of music or a certain kind of sound that we resonate with. Like I prefer music. I prefer quieter. I prefer, which isn't really true because I can really get into the 60s and 70s because that was dance time in high school. But we have things that just resonate with us, right? We're not just receivers of energy that are accidentally roaming the planet. We are the transducers. We're the microphones. We might be invisible to the human eye, but we are a power in this universe. And that's why it's so important to raise our foundation to live a wholesome life. We can control every frequency around us, but we can raise or lower our frequency. We are not subject to what comes at us what comes at us is actually subject to us. When we vibrate at higher frequencies, we feel it. We're happier, mentally, emotionally more aware and balanced. And even things that are not helpful, we can come back into alignment faster and the difficult days don't affect us as much. So how do we raise our frequency to affect our world? The number one thing that affects our frequency, remember I asked the Lord to make this simple, is gratefulness. It's the catalyst to receiving. It's the most powerful force because it's the power of resonance. It's the force that the action that joins the one tuning fork with the other. When we set our mind on things above, gratefulness is not a thing on the earth. It's the resonance from heaven. We're agreeing with heaven. Gratefulness creates an elevated emotion. How many times do we say, come to that place where you have an elevated emotion? Gratefulness creates that, and it raises our vibration to the place of receptivity, that it's a place no one can talk you out of. When you're grateful for something, it's so done in you because you're feeling it. You are living it. And even if somebody comes with the yeah, but, like your kids do, right? When they're little, and they say, yeah, but, Mom, nobody will be able to talk you out of it. Gratefulness is a done deal. You feel it. Gratitude resets your day from anything negative that you may have been trying to get into your thoughts. And gratitude helps us not to carry a burden forward into other circumstances. I have a friend who keeps a gratefulness journal. Every night for years and 100 years, she has been writing in her gratefulness journal. That's how she ends every day. Some people might, I like the morning because I like to lay there and just be enveloped in that feeling of gratitude. And the things that I'm grateful for, you would probably just laugh at, but some of them is waking up to a bedroom that has an open window and it's 40 degrees below zero. That's grateful for me. It's just the things that tickle you, just and it's, you know what, it sets your day. Second, visualize. That what we do, Habakkuk 2, right? Stand at the rampart, see and visualize. Well, what's your dream? What do you visualize? there's so many people that are still coming and asking if I will do an intention or pray for them, and they can't give me what their dream is. They really can't give me the specific, and not you guys that are here. It's guys it's people that are we're learning. We were all there, by the way, at one time. But establish what it is that you're dreaming. Establish your vision. Fuzzy visions give you fuzzy results. We as humans have free will. We're the only creature that has free will, and we're the only ones that perceive time. And we are equipped with imagination. We can put ourselves anywhere, anytime we want. We can put ourselves into the gap. Remember last week? Into that place where everything happens. We are powerful. But when you establish a vision, once you have a clear vision, your frequency raises to a higher vibration to meet that vision that you have. Your energy of what creates a sound is sent into the cosmos, the mind of God. It's sent to where everything exists. And when you have a clear vision for your desire, that's when we release it. So, for instance, you want a new house. You're believing for a new house, a cottage, car, whatever. If it's a house, how many rooms do you want to move into? Bungalow or two-story, rural or city, formal, open concept. Think about the colors. Have a place and visualize that you can move into. What about your career? What are you looking for? Make it clear. What is it that you want? This is really good for young people. Well, I don't know. Well, as soon as you know, then that's what's going to start happening. As you develop the vision, the paths will become really clear. And Father's faithful. He doesn't take you on rabbit trails. He's very good. I learned something in the last little while, because the Lord talked to me about the difference about wealth. About, like, if you say that you just want to be wealthy. Well, why do you want to be wealthy? Well, you want to be wealthy because of all the things you can do, right? Do you know what is your vision for what you want to do? So can you just put a vision? I'm going to win the lottery. I don't know. Maybe people do. But when the Lord showed me that if I set my vision to wealth for a purpose, for instance, to build a children's center, I just saw that Winnipeg has their first village for homeless people. I thought, wow, if you had money that you can put into that, be clear on your vision. I needed to revamp what my vision was for giving and contributing to my community. Because I know I have lots of vision and lots of things that I'd like to do, but I'm not always that clear. And I'm starting to learn that if I can be clear in the vision and send that out, then actually Father has something to create, right? Okay. When you're ambiguous, you know what ambiguous means? You're caught between two poles, two ideas. Your frequency then becomes unstable and it's lower. Your clear intention raises your frequency into the mind of Christ. So the next thing is a logical progression from that create the vision, then we meditate. Close your eyes. Here's the simple. Close your eyes and let it become a reality in your mind. Your vision in meditation is really put into action then. There's a motion to it. There's an energy to it. And it clearly and completely places the vision for the future in its place, and it's created there so that you can receive it with gratitude. When you do that, the force of creation that comes from our Creator, who knows how to organize everything for you, is put into place. In meditation, we change us. In meditation, we allow our frequency to rise, and it will rise above circumstances, so that if you're in a negative mindset or worry or sad, or even if you're in a creative mode, it'll help with creation. If you've got writer's block, it'll help with that. Meditation is a great step to raising your frequency, your vibrations. And at the end of this, we're going to do, it's called a Flower of Life meditation. I don't know if we've done that before, but I thought in a few more steps. The Flower of Life meditation is really, really easy. And it's an easy space to enter into the consciousness of love. And it's as easy as the heart-brain coherence, where you set your heart and you're breathing. But this is a meditation that when you are frustrated or angry or in the creative block, is really, really, really helpful. And it's essentially setting yourself quietly, breathing in for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, then hold it, breath, 1, 2, 3, release it, 1, 2, 3, and hold, 1, 2, 3. You do that. There's 5 breaths in every minute. You do it for 8 minutes or 8 cycles. And actually that has a significance. But you will find yourself, I've been using this lately the most, and it is an amazing freeing release into new frequency. All right, I'm going to go back to that. Number 4 is to raise your frequency. Control the eyes, control the mind. You are in charge of what you look at. You're in charge of what you think about. Your eyes are not just the window of the soul, but they're the camera that creates the desire of a diary that we begin to accumulate and put thoughts to. Just like we are the product of the last book we read, the last movie we watched, the last song we sang. For a time, these images that we allow ourselves into really stick, don't they? They seem to lodge in us, right? We say sometimes, I've seen that now, I can't unsee that picture. Well, actually, there's some science behind that. And some things we look at are more potent than others. And I'm just going to mention pornography, for instance. If a person is given to that direction of pornography, it actually burns in your visual cortex, one of those places in your brain, differently than others. It is one of the most difficult to move away from once you put it in. And it can be traumatic. The last movie you watch, for instance, your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary, then the movies can be a real deterring factor to your frequency. You cannot feed on anger and killing and murder and the intensity of that and stay in a frequency of love. Songs. Have you ever had an earworm? You know, you hear a song and it just doesn't leave your head. Well, it's the never-ending song. It just doesn't shut up. And if it's in the key of love, that's wonderful. If it's just buzzing, that you really need to replace that. Our lives are all about choices, what we see, hear, listen to, and who we spend time with. Have you ever noticed that when you're around darkness, that it really drains your energy? You feel at times like, I can handle this, but really it just pulls. I have a friend right now who is with a member of the family that she really wanted to spend time with, and the person's personality of being self-centered and angry and all of that. She says, I'm sure learning to stand in my frequency in the middle of that, because it has a tendency to pull you away, and so that you react to things rather than give to things, the very things that we are talking about here. I believe we're in a time where the Lord is orchestrating certain events so that we can join with like-hearted, like high vibrational folk. Have you noticed that there are more people in your life that you can talk to using these words? We were sort of laughing at some of the things in the chat before the meeting, things that we wouldn't talk about before, on maybe UFOs or what was the other one, on reincarnation. I said, I don't remember the last time I used that word in a sentence, and all of these things, but we're just freer. We're just freer. We're not judging, and we're exploring together. I love that. I used to worry about people that weren't in alignment with me, as though I'm the alignment. I'm not. Their plumb line is Christ in our lives. And if people disagree and can't move into spaces and out of spaces with you, it's okay. It's okay. We can love each other and encourage each other. We don't have to be right. The next thing is connect with nature. Connecting with nature will raise your frequency, and it'll connect you with the frequency of the earth, and there'll be a unity there. Never mind the season, get out and walk. Breathe in clear air. Don't confuse exercise with connecting with nature either. When you walk within nature, listen and hear the wind, see the trees, the path that you're on. They all have frequencies and are sending messages for your good. I believe God speaks to us through nature. When you love nature, you have a greater authority and a greater responsibility. Ed and I actually have nature testimonies, from silver showing up on leaves and rocks, to redirecting infestation of armyworms, to stopping tornadoes that were headed for, and that had at the cottage 2 times. I think I've shared that. Personally, when we're walking with purpose, enjoying the woods or the streets or the sky, or resting in that place of ordained unity with nature, is a frequency raiser. And you can tangibly feel the rise in your consciousness and the rise in your own personal frequency as you do that. Exercise is still good, by the way. Can be part of it. But the next one is come out of addictions. And whether it's a chemical addiction or lifestyle, healthy lifestyle is critical to high vibrations. If you have any addictions or any ungodly lifestyle, you can change. We begin that change when we make the decision. I was addicted to coffee. I know, don't put me down. This was a serious addiction for me. It affected my health. I was at 30 years old, had my fourth child, 4 children under 5. And I drank a ridiculous amount of coffee. I drank by the pot, not by the mug. And one day, because I had no halfway, there's no such thing as a cup a day for me. I had to make a covenant with Father. I was addicted. But then, being the genius that I am, I switched to Diet Coke, aspartame. Oh my gosh, I can hear the gasps. I know that there are people that understood what I just said. After years, years, not months of it, I think it was 2 or 3 years, I became addicted to Diet Coke. And when I became educated, I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm killing myself. I was extreme too. I had to once more stop an addiction. It had become an addiction. When I stopped this time because of the chemical, caffeine was in the coffee, but this one, my body actually went into shock and I became really ill. I was so sick, I thought I might die. And then I was afraid I wouldn't. I was really sick. It was horrible. And there was no going back. If there was a sub-zero frequency, I was probably at it. And it was really funny, actually, after going through those addictions. I know that there are addictions that may seem more important or more addictive than the ones that I just shared. Our cell phones can be an addiction. Our technology can be an addiction. And I remember years ago being with Ian Clayton. Actually, we were having breakfast, and he had a bottle of frankincense in one hand, and he had a coffee cup in the other. I said, "What on earth are you doing?" He said, "Well," he said, "our body frequency," now I may have all the numbers wrong, but just bear with me. He said, "Our body frequency is optimum at about 75 or 90, whatever it was." And he said, "But this one cup of coffee lowers my my frequency by at least 25 points. And if I have two, so from 75 to 50," and he said, and if I have two, it lowers my frequency to the level of cancer being able to develop in my body." And I said, "Yeah." And the frankincense, he said, "Well, the frankincense, even if you hold the bottle, will raise your frequency. So I'm balancing out." We had some crazy times. That may or not be true, but the moral of the story is what we put in our body changes our frequency. It makes a difference. It really does make a difference. We know we need to eat and drink well for our body's health. And I'm going to leave the how-tos of that to your own research. Everyone has different needs. Everyone knows what works for them. And you know, by the way, if you're addicted to something or not, if it's hard to lay it down. Personally, I go with what I read in Genesis, that every living plant and every living thing was for our consumption. And so I go from there. Sanctifying what our choices are, I think, is important. I know we kind of make fun of saying grace, mainly because grace for some is singing Johnny Appleseed, "So the Lord is good to me, so I thank the Lord for giving me," that one. Amen. But actually there is a grace to blessing what we put into our body to sanctify for our use and for our pleasure and for our good. So I feel really strongly about that. But no amount of praying or casting out calories can make food that is devoid of nutrients healthy. We need fresh air, fresh water, sunshine, and make good choices, because we are energy. We imbibe energy, and energy equals frequency. The next one is physical work. It's not just exercise, but actual work. This creates happy chemicals in your body. You know that? When your body energies are low, your body functions, including your sexual desires, are diminished and at a low frequencies. Frequencies are important to our creator. It's so important that actually when a woman giving birth, bringing life into this world, has hormones that kick in at that time that are innate to the mother, like oxytocin, that's called the mothering hormone, and it's released specifically to nurture the relationship and the baby. And I think it's that's where the phrase mother's love comes from. It's probably that frequency in that's 528. Our body functions and our frequencies are all connected. Live your life with purpose and keep moving. That's the key, to keep moving. Music. I feel so jealous of those of you who play an instrument or have a talent to sing, because I know that music raises your frequency. I was glad to learn, however, that listening is a good way to raise that frequency too. So I don't have to tell you what to listen to, because you respond to the sounds that elevate or diminish your own emotions. Some songs are mellow, some are boppy, some seasonal. Sometimes it's the music, sometimes it's the word, sometimes it's both. We have an innate ability to remember words to songs. When I was little, this is a true story, my parents would tell me that they would wake me up to sing for their friends, because I was just over 1 year old. I could sing the songs in a songbook, and I could tell you on the page where I was singing. My mom used to say that if my lessons were put to music, I'd be a genius. And my kids called me Mother Goose when they were young, because phrases, words would trigger a song. I'd remember the song, and I still do. Music embeds in our very souls and body, and music has a frequency that ministers to you, and when you allow it, you raise your frequency. We are the technology. The reason I don't personally look for frequency equipment like crystals and things, because I truly believe that we're the technology, that it's within us. There is nothing missing in us. We can tune in there. Everything in us is to create what we need to live emotionally, spiritually, and physically healthy lives. Our biggest obstacle is us. Before we look for help from the outside, we need to look within. Most of our problems come from dis-ease. When we are not in ease, when we're not peaceful, our bodies pick up on that frequency and will respond in kind, actually, creating things that cause pain or suffering to your body. Dis-ease can cause crippling body responses, from arthritis to weaknesses to cancer. And that's not for you to condemn yourself or blame yourself for things. It's just an awareness that dis-ease is not our portion. And there's a way of detecting the root of these, and there might be. And I know that there are many courses and books, and if you take them, I hope that they help, and I hope the most that they bring you to that place of peace and raising your frequency, and that it's sustained, that it becomes part of your life. What if we put aside and did what we know to do? What if we spent every thinking moments on thoughts above and not on the earth? What if we set our imagining on things that are true, holy, and a good report? What if we offered forgiveness to all offenses? What if we made healthy living choices to sleep, eat, exercise? What if we choose to live in harmony and love with each other? What if we choose all these things of life and live them purposefully? Imagine you becoming the frequency of divine love and resonating that to your world, being that tuning fork that sends out that divine love. Wow. Our world wouldn't be the same. Disease would not exist. It could not exist. Our ultimate frequency is Yod He Vav He, and we have studied that, haven't we? And that's why we stand in Him. So the last point in raising our frequency is our affirmations, and I really believe this is the secret sauce of ultimate frequency. We are, I am. When you look in the mirror, are you sometimes shocked with who looks back? I am. I think I'm really not that person in the mirror, because I have an image of myself when I shut my eyes to the world, that I am so much more than that physical image. because I am health, I am wealth, I am wisdom, I am love, I am unlimited. And the 3D mirror is sometimes simply just not my reality. And that's the reason I remind myself that my life is more than a mirror. It's my reality that is my reality that exists. It's my reality, my inner vision, my inner knowing. It's about me and God. You see, I have a secret life with him. It's a private life at times, most of the time, actually. And it's not a bad one to have just between the two of you. Just come into that unity where he holds your face or you hold his, and you just look into each other's eyes and you make that. That's hard to describe for someone. And you know what? We don't need to have a private life in him. I don't share everything, my intentions and that with the world. You guys know more about me than anybody. But and I do share headlines, but the amazing truth of the realities is that we can go deeper and deeper together in God's heart when there's that intimacy, that it's a reality then becomes embedded in you. Sometimes I'll share the times from what I call mountain time, you know, what Jesus did, go up into the mountain to see what Father's doing. But a lot of times I don't share it. And the reason is sometimes I have to come into a greater understanding and a greater passion and a greater knowing for myself. Some people don't need that, but I love that. I love the dialogue. I love being able to have that time, because I can be anyone. I can have anything that I believe and I see. To be the highest frequency that affects in our world, we must and we can be it. So we can say, I am the highest frequency. I am love. So before we just gather and chat, let's take a few minutes. Let's try together. Let's enter into that flower of life meditation together, just to sort of come into that place. I find that when we practice something together, it sticks more. I know we've got a ton of different meditations, and I just want to share this one because it is so gentle and so simple, and it's so easy to use this meditation personally, because all it is to focus on the silence and focus on the breathing. It's if Susan Willis, she'd probably say, this is where we can just be, right? And you're not trying, you're not intending, you aren't doing anything, you are just being. And meditation, breathing techniques take time to practice. But and I just want to share this one because it's so easy. If you need a break from something, just to shut your eyes. I just encourage you to do that now. Just shut your eyes, take a deep breath and relax. And then start in this rhythm of 3 seconds breathing in, hold 3 seconds, 3 seconds out, 3 seconds hold. Three seconds in, hold, out, hold, breathe in, hold, out, Hold. Okay. Did you find that easy? I find that really super relaxing. And I find it super relaxing because even I like the silence, and I like what I know silence does. It's pretty amazing. I've been in situations where really I've been doing some writing and vision setting, that kind of thing, and I find if I will go into the silence. Last week we went into the Gap, and it's just a wonderful place. How are you guys doing? I'm gonna do full screen so I can see everybody.
Lots of thumbs up.
Lots of thumbs up. Are we
There's a question.
mhm.
Jacqueline's asking, is there a particular thought to focus on or just on the breathing?
Yeah. You know, I there are other modalities, so where we deal with the vision. I like this one because I don't go in. You can absolutely, there's no rules, what there's no best way, perfect perfect way. Do what works for you. So you can always take a thought in, or you can always take anything in with you, and spend time in that modality. But you can also just spend time in the peace and in the silence, where there is nothing pressing around you. I like using this flower of life one. It's sort of very similar, isn't it, to the Merkaba, where you just go into this place and you let the silence be. And because silence is really a more difficult thing for many of us, and it's becoming a learned thing, then it's easier to practice being in the silence. But do whatever works. There's no really wrong way.
I had some voices coming from upstairs, so I did go start using the Merkaba just because to help distract me from listening to what was going on upstairs. But I did appreciate that. Maggie wrote, it does feel like touching the face of God. Do you know why it is called the flower of life?
Not 100% sure why it's called that, except for the flower of life is circular. And there are our circles of life, there are what are called iterations, that when we complete these circles in our life, they bring us to a place where we hit the sweet spot. I actually wasn't going to talk about this, but and maybe I shouldn't, because there's a lot to it. It goes into the Fibonacci sequence of mathematics, and then into the golden mean of, do you know what the golden mean is? It's the creative life. That Annetta's flower there actually shows a golden mean, where you've got all the circular repetitions of the flower all around, and that's how it's created. Those are iterations of petals that are around a central point. So when you go in those cycles, we have those cycles in our life as well. And often it will take about 8 cycles to complete something that you're working on. Maybe I'll do that next week. I'll do because it's an interesting thing, and I'll need diagrams. So I will show you. It's really quite fascinating. And then also I can go into what I've learned, the difference between journaling and keeping a diary, because journaling helps you to develop your visions and develop what it is that you are envisioning in life, whereas a diary is your private. You probably use your journals as diarying more than you do for setting visions and then coming back to those visions. So I'm gonna do that next week, and because it's really part of this. It's part of our frequency. It's part of how things actually are created in nature, and it may just help people to transpose how we are learning to create, and what happens in nature and what happens in the spirit when we are in that creative process, how it gives our creator something to work with. I'm going to stop talking about it because I don't want to get you more confused. And okay, Kathy, so it sounds wonderful. Yeah, it is actually. I hope I can do it justice. When I learned it, it changed a lot. It changed a lot. So this was pretty basic tonight, right? This was and please don't go away thinking that I am opposed to every single thing that's at our disposal for raising our frequency and that understanding. My heart is that we understand that it's within us. We carry it and we can release it. Because when your essential oils are in another room, or you run out, the supply train isn't getting to you, you want to know that we create all of what they do. And by the way, I love oils, I love all of that, but it's within us. It's like giving birth and finding your system. It already has those hormones. You didn't have to pray for them, you didn't have to ask for them, you didn't have to hope they're there. They actually come with the gig. It was really good. All right. Oh, quiet ones. Okay. Go ahead.
And I just wanted to say thank you for this. I love talking about frequency, you know, everything that we've learned about the energy centers and just everything. It's so exciting, and it's so awesome to learn how to connect and increase our frequency, you know, focusing on our chakras or energy centers, and just learning that we're in control, you know, like as we are aware, our awareness, and just agreeing with love and gratitude and coming into those. It's just, it's great. And I also love, I've just fallen in love with meditation. I used to, before COVID, I guess it's been a few years now, but I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and that was my quiet time. I would drink coffee back then, and that was my prayer time. And I didn't necessarily meditate. It was more praying. I think I did maybe get still, but I didn't call it meditation. That wasn't my language back then. But now I am addicted to meditating, and I'm addicted to like sitting in stillness and getting out of my thoughts, whether it's focusing on breathing or focusing on the gratitude and the expansion within. It's just changed my life. It's changed everything. So, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I feel the same way. That you know, as we put what we've been learning together, and our words are all different too, of what we do and how we do it, and that's really no problem. But the bottom line is we are raising our frequency because it's bringing us into greater joy, greater peace, greater love. And the thing is, we're conscious of it. We're not living out of our subconscious, which is the, you know, the rote and the trauma from our past, but we are continually creating the more that we're called into, which is him standing in Yod Hey, Vav Hey. That's awesome. I'm with you. And it's okay if you drink coffee. It's just not okay for me.
Phew.
I actually gave that up too, because I would just go up and then I would go down. And if I had 2 cups of coffee, I would go down even farther. And I was like, okay, I just have to try to stay this way. So anyway, I'm with you.
Yeah. Okay, Serena, are you there?
Yeah, yes, I am here. Look, Helen, I really want to thank you, and I don't know how to say how grateful I am to be in this group. It has affected me tremendously in everything, what you're teaching, and it is like, you know, and look, I managed to get the house following what you have been teaching. The house manifested for me, and then from then the Lord said to create wealth, which I didn't know. I'm sitting, and then see, he took my job away that time after giving this house. I lost my job immediately, and I was thinking, what is this? And then I knew that he was giving me this time, 6 months now, to develop and to be able to join your group. And I was just practicing everything, and I just finished reading the book of this Wishes Fulfilled, and that settled everything in me. It settled, and I have and with the Kim's teaching and everything I am, and that was so like revelation for me. And also just wanted to share this, like 3 months ago I was praying with another person to do what God wants me to do in my so we had a small ascension, and we found that other person got the knowledge that I need to give out my rooms for, Airbnb. Let the people come, because I'm alone. I have another 3 rooms. I have 4-room bedroom. And this was 3 months ago. That was put into my mind, but I couldn't do it because I was still not comfortable to invite strangers, not knowing what they will bring into my house, and all those bad. My mind, just not. But after going through this, I didn't know the Lord was preparing me to know who I am, and after just recently in mid December, I was ready to open my house, and I just put in the Airbnb my photos. Immediately people started booking, and then I was thinking, wow, this is awesome. It's because I'm not like anything. It's just in a suburb. It's not in a city or anything. It's in a suburb, but it's just start coming. And then when I'm reading the book of Wishes Fulfilled, I use that. I use those to bring people, clients. And you wouldn't believe, the moment I see that and I feel my house is being filled, people start booking in. And this month, I'm totally booked. Not even, then I had a gap between 3-4 days, a gap. And I sat on that, and I want someone to fill. And the next day someone books in that. And I'm fully booked for this whole month. And now also I have people in my house. I'm in my room, and they are using the other 3 rooms and everywhere. And I'm releasing the light to these people also staying. And it is like, I felt like it is in me. The moment I stopped, I don't want anymore, it stopped coming in. And in February, I just needed some break because I couldn't. It's overwhelming. And I also, this word, Amos 3:19, the reaper will overflow, overtake the plowman. That's what came into me, because I can't cope up. It's just keep coming. People keep coming in. And I needed a break. And then I stopped it when I wanted. And then I opened it. People start coming in. And this is all new to me, and I don't know how to thank you. And that book was so good. And from that book, he mentioned about another book called I Am Discourses. So this book, and I bought that book. Now I'm reading that. This is it's what I want, and then that I'm doing it. And also, strangely, I got invitation for job interview. I didn't want it. I thought, nah, maybe that's not God wants me. I don't want, I will go into business or something, And suddenly interviews came. And then the job, which I didn't even, want, nothing. It just came in. And then probably they may want to, I may be getting the job. Maybe I know that by Friday. And I just like feeling the only thing I'm very, I'm just I don't want to, I want this time is so important to me. I don't want that to lose, the Thursdays, this time is very important to me. I don't want to lose that time. So that's the only concern. I'm just asking the Lord, I may need some, if I get the job, I need to have that frame. I want to create that I work from home or something. I can still come in and, I enjoy this. I tell, and things are changing. I don't know how to say. And last week I was in Sydney with my daughter. That's why I couldn't join last week. And also I see, because I'm carrying, I'm always aware who I am. And that is changing. My daughter always never, she was very skeptical on me because I'm a follower of Jesus. She doesn't want to. But this time, because of me, I think it's all inside me. She was giving me that it's different. It's very different. And, I don't know how to say, it's like so many things has changed. It's all inside me. It's me, actually. I am the one. This is, and I really, really, you wouldn't know how much you are, touching people's life, your teachings. And I'm really, really thankful to you and the whole group. Yeah. Thank you.
It is a whole group that you're feeling, really. I appreciate your words. I more appreciate the fact that your life it has come into such a very good place, because I remember, actually, I remember intending for you back then. And I just love you released it to the Lord, and he created where you are. So I love too that you've come to that place. I'm feeling with, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but you are standing in the I am, and therefore you are the light. And so you don't have to worry about anything, actually, because your influence is greater than anything and everyone. And you'll just release that to them. It's an equal opportunity club. They can all join in I am.
Thank you.
That's so good. All right. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. Brenda.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to say it's kind of different, but I felt like the Lord was really showing me that I was addicted to really eating healthy and taking supplements, and I was consumed by it. And I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this, but just lately the Lord's just saying, it's like it's your God and you just need to let go and like have a fudge sickle or something. I mean, and so I seen how it was just like, it was being stressful to me because I had to eat, everything perfect. And it's just like, and I've just been learning to let go of that, and just realizing that really anything can be your God. Anything can be your God. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, but that was just something I've been going through. So
Yeah. I think that's something that might be something that quite a few of us have touched on, because we can get so focused on what's right or wrong, and I think we're in a greater freedom to know that the Lord will just direct us. Yeah. You know what, I want to just leave it. Anyone want to speak to that? I say have the fudgicle, have the ice cream cone. It'll be good for your soul.
like when you said, like, well, what if you run out of frankincense oil, or what if you run out of peppermint oil? Oh my gosh, but no, wait a minute. If it's within inside of us, or we don't have any progesterone cream or whatever, and it's a winter blizzard out, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm okay. And I'm
Maybe-
realizing that I was addicted to all those things. Like if I run out of my spirulina, I'm not going to make it. Well, actually I am because I am.
Because you are health. Amen. Amen. And that doesn't mean we can't enjoy, you know, the atomizers and the things that bring in beautiful fragrances. But when they have us and we don't have them, then that's something to think about. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure there's a lot of us. Eddie.
Helen, Helen, you might give me heck later on for mentioning this, but you brought up about 8 or 9 different methods of raising our frequency, and I would just like to share 2 methods that I used for. They were visualization and verbalization, but I used them in a negative way because I didn't want to go to work on Friday, so I visualized myself being sick, and I told my staff members that I wasn't feeling well. And by the end of the day, I wasn't feeling well, and it was so powerful that I couldn't even on Saturday when I was home and I was going to, you know, enjoy myself. I had to come out of this. Not depression, but I had to come out of it because of the power of what I had done. But I had the day off, and so I was happy, but I wasn't really happy. And so I can testify to, if we use all these different ways of raising our frequency instead of myself lowering it, like how powerful we are as an individual.
Yeah, that's right. No, I love that. That was of course before we met. But that no, I love that. I love that illustration because it's true. Whether it's to the negative or to the positive, we create, and what we believe we become. Like where you put your energy, your focus, it will expand. And even though you were doing it in fun, and I know you were, because you wanted the day off, and you know you play the mind game got you rather than you running it. I think that's an excellent illustration and a really good encouragement to keep our thoughts positive, to keep our thoughts in line with the highest frequency. So thank you for sharing that. That's great. Gina.
Well, I was just going to comment on that too. It was really, thanks for sharing that, Ed, because, you know, not most of us would share that. So, I mean, you know, but it really proves a point, because for me, lately, I sort of catch myself thinking a thought without thinking about it. And I'm realizing, oh, wait a minute now, this thought I'm co-creating something with this actual thought. And so taking responsibility for, you know, just trying to catch my thoughts and see where they are and change them, physically, mentally change them, because I'm getting manifest in myself my thoughts that I'm thinking. Like Helen said, I'm reaping what I'm sowing, and not just doing, not just saying, thinking. So it's this amazing discipline for me to really catch each thought.
Right.
So thanks, Ed, that, because it works both ways, good and bad.
Yeah.
And we always just think about, well, I'm just going to think about this good stuff, and we forget about all those thoughts that we've had in the day that are contrary to our intentions and our wishes that we want fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks, that was great.
You know, thanks, Gina. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Ed, too, because really what we've hit on here is one of the hindrances to our intentions not being fulfilled, because we're causing static, we're causing a short circuiting of the creation. We create something and then we speak against it. We create something and then we allow our, whether it's an emotional or a mental, or it doesn't have to be an aggressive coming against it, is within us. And that's a real good place to have our checkup, right?
And it's a self-sabotage.
We,
And then we wonder why we're not seeing what we're desiring.
that's right. That's exactly.
We're canceling it out,
Yeah.
the positive ion and the negative ion, it's all of that. And you can think about it in a scientific chemistry way as well, or a quantum way, or a physics way. It all makes sense, or a mathematical thing. You have a positive and a negative, and then you have a neutral. Like,
Right.
neutral doesn't give you anything.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we haven't really been looking at the negative aspect of creating, because we want to keep our mind on and focus on the positive. But I'm glad it was brought up, because it's super powerful. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're both right. Like
And
it's
it's super challenging too when we observe our thoughts, and we make a conscious decision to observe our thoughts, because I found for me that my thoughts are interesting. I got to pull them back. I got to retract,
right.
because they can go wherever. If I'm not thinking about the good, I might just, oh, whoopsie, where'd that thought come from? That's not what I'm thinking. That's not what I'm believing for. That's not what I know is true. How'd that get in there? Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love this, because the other thing that we do when we mess up and don't keep the direction is we'll say, and say somebody calls you on it, then here's what happens. Oh, well, you know what? God understands.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, he does. But actually there's a protocol, and actually there's laws of heaven that you reap what you sow. So yes, he understands, and sadly you don't.
Yeah. Well, and Brenda and I were just saying, the double-minded man will receive nothing from the Lord.
There you go.
And there it is.
Mhm.
And so decide what you want and go with that, and catch those other ones. I think of the dream catcher, that thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's not really a dream catcher, it's a thought catcher. So adjusting your thoughts all the time.
There you
There's
go.
this thought adjustment. Yeah. Oh, anyway.
Excellent. Thank you both. Okay, Kathy, Donna, and then Maggie.
I just quickly, I have an example of that. My son loves watching car crashes, videos on car crashes, and he'll like, Mom, come watch. And I have to be careful, because if I'm watching those, that the whole car crash comes in my mind, and I'm driving, and I'm thinking that all those crashes are coming into my mind, and just having to stop myself and say no. And then I often will just visualize myself arriving at where I need to go safely and on time, and at peace, and just having to really be careful with that. But I also just wanted to read out, Jacqueline had written a couple things, and Susan as well. Jacqueline wrote, I love that you emphasize, Helen, that we are made self-sufficient in him, and saying thank you for emphasizing and teaching us meditation. And Susan Sanoski was writing, this just strikes me as yet another confirmation of he supplies all our needs, even the ones we are unaware of, from his riches and glory. Our frequencies are part of our riches within. So I wanted to make sure y'all heard that.
I love that. That is so good. So true, isn't it? Donna.
Yeah, I just wanted this kind of tagged on what Gigi was saying, but I grew up I didn't grow up in it. I grew up in the Catholic Church, but when I came to Christ, I left and went to the faith movement and learned about the words of your mouth. But it wasn't until I started listening to you, Helen, and several other teachers, realizing that it's my thoughts that are even more important. So now what I'm realizing, and that's what Gigi was saying, but what I'm realizing is I'm so much quicker now to catch those thoughts and to stop them than I ever was before. And I hear it, man, I hear my thoughts so quickly now, and I stop them immediately. And it's wonderful. And I find myself changing as a result of that. And then turning my thoughts around to the positive rather than the negative. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Donna, I'm with you. I'm grateful to hear it from you too. I love the fact that we can catch our thoughts sooner than we used to.
Yeah.
It's important.
So wonderful. Yeah.
It feels good. You can be proud of yourself. There we go. Thank you, Maggie.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much, Helen. I can want to reiterate what Serena said earlier. I'm not going to go into detail, but I just really feel that you've been a real blessing in my life. But having here Ed's testimony, I realised that I also have one, and I think it is important to share some of these vulnerable, these areas that can make you a little bit vulnerable. And I think it's also our learning. And I think what I've heard tonight is that, catch yourself. And that's what I wrote that before I heard it again. And I realized that, maybe Holy Spirit is saying to me, I had to catch myself just a few days ago, because I've been taking an exam now for a few years and I've not been successful. And I took it again just before Christmas. I was very ill on that day. But I just heard that I wasn't successful yet again. And I was inconsolable that night. I mean, I thanked him and everything for all that he's done, but I was so disappointed in me and, dare I say, in God. Your mind goes crazy, doesn't it, when you hear words of failure. And I pretty much cried most of that night. I even almost unconsciously, I was just crying and quiet because I just didn't want to talk about it because it was just so painful. I was so hurt because I've taken this probably the 6th time that I've taken this exam, and so that really kind of caught me off guard, and it tends to do every time I get that result. But towards the end of the night, I chose to be still. I realized that it's not God that's allowed me not to pass, but I have to accept that God is good and He is for me and He loves me, and I came to that conclusion. So I consciously chose those thoughts towards it. So I realized that He never fails. I've got to that conclusion, and randomly I sent a message to a company, an exam company, to see if I could try and resit it, because there's always other options, isn't there? So I did, and I know I did it off the cuff, and I just picked a company and sent a message. I wasn't even brave enough to send it in my own name. I sent it through my husband and sort of said, "My husband, it's my wife, yada yada yada. Can you call me tomorrow?" So I kind of moved away from that, sort of cracked on and picked myself up and realized that God is good. So what is it? My husband is very good at grounding me. And he said, it's an exam. It doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. The fact that you haven't passed it doesn't define you. So put things in perspective. Got this call. My husband gets this call. He says, "Oh yes, my wife is looking to do this. Yes, it did cost me some money to actually resit it, but at least I can resit this exam for end of February as opposed to waiting until the spring. There's always a means to an end. I'm trying to do a bigger qualification, and I need this to actually get onto this for March to go to university. So it's really important to me, the timing. I got this. I got a time frame at the end of February. The exam board is better than
Wow, it's not long, not long at all. It touches my heart because you know, I really appreciate the journey that and I'm feeling your tears. I'm feeling, you know, where you got to, and when those things are in our life and we're able to come as you did to the baseline, which is God is good in the middle of it, and not move away and into rebellion or anger, or there's so many things that we tend to fall on, and you didn't. And even though in the sorrow and in the frustration of it, you landed in a really beautiful place in him. And you've got a whole room full of people that'll be standing with you till the end of we will be with you, Maggie, till the end of
it's the embarrassment. You know, when people asking me all the time, so how's your exam? How did you do with your exam? And I just feel so like Ed on Monday, someone asked me again, you know, what about your exam? And I said, I don't know yet. I haven't heard anything. And I felt, it's not exactly true, is it? I do know that I didn't get it, but it's the embarrassment. I can't explain the emotion and the feeling of people are expecting so much from you. And and even my own kids, I have this thing about, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm trying for my grandkids. I'm trying to better my life. And here I am, I failed, you know, and how do I go back to them? And I'm just beating myself up. But, you know, something that the Lord has showed me is that, you know, do you know Shrek? I think it's Shrek 2, where the donkey said, I think there's all these, to me, when the donkey says, pick me, pick me, pick me, I see like a whole row of thoughts on a bench and always being asked, always screaming for us to pick them, often very negative thoughts. And, you know, we just go, okay, I'll have you. But to be able to say, no, I choose positive thoughts. I'm not you today. No. I choose to think like this. I choose to think with the high frequency of God. And yeah, so.
Totally. Well, I'm with your husband that your exam is not you, and it's not an indication of anything except the information that they want you to put on this paper and go on from there. And your character and how you are operating in a frequency higher than that, higher than the exam. Do you realize that, Maggie? Your frequency is higher than that in just what you're sharing. And you're encouraging all of us, and as well as encouraging yourself in what you're sharing. So really, really appreciate it. And with you, we're with you, girl. I don't know what it entails, but we can so stand with you in this. I think there's some rumbling in the background with the chat. Are you on that, Kathy? I'm going to go to you. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you. I want to be there and hug you.
Susan was said, this sounds like a perfect intention for Maggie. and wondering if we would do it now. That was what was going on in the chat.
Yeah. Maggie?
Yes. Yes. So you're going to ask me, what is it that
Yes.
you're intending for? Is that correct? I
That's
kind of
right.
know you now.
That's right. Yeah. You do know me.
I do. I mean, I really want the mind of Christ. Because if I've had the mind of Christ, I can do everything, right? You know, to be able to just do the impossible, what seems to me to be the impossible. I want to pass. Maggie wants to pass. Maggie will pass. Maggie will pass her exam. That's it. Maggie will pass the next exam.
Okay, now let's put it into an intention from the answer, not to the answer. I know I'm being
All
sticky.
right, that's fine. That's fine. That's your job.
That's my job, yes. Okay, so
I have passed. Thanking
you
God
have,
for
exactly,
having passed the exam. It's done.
okay. You can see it, you can feel it, it's done.
I'm at the graduation already. You see my
All
hat,
All
paper in
right.
hand. Yeah.
Okay,
Will happen when you pass, Maggie.
I will then spend another 3 years becoming a fully fledged social worker in local government.
okay,
Just one little paper. One little paper.
okay.
You see yourself there?
Everybody else does. Yes, I do. Everybody around me says, why are you not a social worker? This one little paper that's standing in my way. Yes, I do. I do see myself.
You can feel that.
Maggie, can I just say
Yes.
something for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Maggie,
Yes, ma'am.
the Lord called me to go to university, and I graduated at 48. And I want to encourage you, you know, that
Thank you.
he's going to get you there. That's for sure.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
Okay, so our intention is that, okay, we're coming alongside you, Maggie. What are you saying?
That Maggie has passed her exam with good grades.
Awesome. Okay. That is a wonderful intention. Is anybody, okay, we're doing this with 27 people. Is anyone not clear on the intention? You want to talk to Maggie about it? Any questions? At what time? Okay, so we're at 9 o'clock. If anybody needs to leave, I respect your time. And okay. And if you want to stay on, and are you waving goodbye or hello? Okay.
We're taking off.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. You know what?
Let-
I'm going to let people just go so that we're not interrupting the frequency of the meeting. Those who want to stay, you're welcome. And there's totally understand. We set our times for between 7 and 9. So we thank you for being here, and we love you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine on you, be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you his shalom. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Okay, we love you. Good night to those who